This video is specifically about how to make thumbnails for creator-owned comics. Specifically creator-owned comics because I think it's a bit of a different process for creator-owned comics, whether you're writing and drawing your own comic or working with a collaborator who you have a good relationship with. It's a bit of a different process than if you are just work for hire and you're being paid to draw pages and you don't have a lot of input into the script. So, what do you have to do? And first of all, why thumbnails? I think it's important because it helps you to visualize the entire story as an artist. This is issue 5 of GR8, and these are the thumbnails that I did for that issue, which can be found in this trade paperback of GR8. Link in the video description below, little plug there. So, what steps do you need to do? First and foremost, read the script. Read the whole script. Make sure that you understand what the writer is doing, why they're doing it, and if you wrote this yourself, your process may be a little bit different, but you'll probably be thumbnailing it out as you go. So first thing I do is read the script. Do you have any questions? Anything that you need to clarify with the writer? It's a good time for you to make some notes, even do some quick thumbnails directly on the script as you're trying to work out what the writer is visualizing and how you can clarify the storytelling. Should you add some panels? Are there panels that are confusing? Are there transitions that are confusing that you can clarify? Step 2 would be gathering some reference material. Maybe it's a Google search for some different ideas that you need to draw. You could print it out. That way it's right there by your drawing board. And you could look at it online. You could create a Pinterest board. Just some different ways to make sure that you have all the reference material you need so that you can start thumbnailing. Step 3, start the thumbnail. A few questions you can ask yourself before you start your thumbnails. Do you need to show these to a collaborator? How clear do they need to be? For example, these are somewhat clear, at least to me. To somebody else, maybe not. So you have to think through how you need to show them. Here's some additional thumbnails I did for another issue of GR8. Because I've been working with my collaborator for a long time, we have a bit of a shorthand. He understands what I'm saying in my quick visualization, and I'll make notes for him. That way he can review the thumbnails as well. Then, simply thumbnail the entire issue. That's right, the whole thing. I'll even do some cover roughs of what the covers could be, again, to show my collaborator, to get some input and ideas from him. One of the most important things to do when thumbnailing is to make sure that you save room for the dialogue. What I always do is I'll go in and number the dialogue in each panel on the page. So every page would have dialogue 1 through whatever it may be. In this case, on page 2 of GR8, I've highlighted, so you can see in yellow, I've highlighted in yellow the dialogue boxes. 1, 2, 3, all the way through 11. On my thumbnails, I also number the dialogue. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 11. That way, I've made sure that I've captured all the dialogue in the thumbnail, and my collaborator also knows where the dialogue is. This helps me as the artist and the writer understand how the story is flowing and where things may give us problems. A few things to keep in mind when working on thumbnails is action flows in the direction that you read. In my case, I live in the West, so we read left to right. So action is left to right. Another thing to keep in mind, page turns. The first page of your book is the cover. On a standard book, you'll open it up and you'll have double page spreads. For example, on GR8, cover, you open it up, 2 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages. Most books actually don't start with the story on the second page of the book because that's actually the inside cover. You could start your story here, or you could wait until the next page. So this is actually the inside cover. This is a great place to have the book title, the author and artist name, any kind of company information. Then you could start your actual first page of your comic on page 3, which in the case of GR8, we have a cover image here because this is a trade paperback. This is our first actual story page on the right hand side. So this page 3 of the book is actually page 1 of our story. Page 2 of our story, page 3 of our story, etc., all the way through the entire book. When you're thinking about double page spreads, keep that in mind, especially when printing. That's an entire another video. Back to page turns. Why are page turns important? In standard comics, you want action and scenes to be on a page. This would be one scene. Maybe this is space. And this is also space. And more space adventures. Suddenly your characters move to a new environment. You don't want to start that environment necessarily right here at the bottom of this page. That can be confusing for the reader. It might be best to start that new environment. Say they've moved to a desert on this page. Here's another example in GR8. In the second issue of GR8, the first 2 pages of story are on this desert planet. When you turn the page, you're now in space for both of these pages. Another page turn, we're back to the desert planet, and we're there again for a few more pages until another page turn, we're moving from the desert planet back to the spaceship, and on the next page, back to the desert planet. Okay, let's thumbnail. You can use a pre-printed template. You can find them online, something like this that has squares already printed there. It can be very helpful, but it's not necessary. You can simply use a sketchbook, a piece of notebook paper, a piece of scrap paper, whatever you have. It can be very simple. Keep in mind the actual flow of your pages, especially if you're doing something for print. And also keep in mind with your thumbnails the dimensions of your final art. It can be frustrating if you thumbnail something and it doesn't actually match your dimensions. For example, if you do a thumbnail that's really wide and you start thinking about how you can do so many panels, and then you realize that the dimensions of your thumbnail don't match the dimensions of your actual book. So for example, this thumbnail is wide, but my actual book is taller than it is wider. So therefore, I need to keep in mind that my thumbnails match the dimension. Because I'm thinking about printed books, inside cover would be page 2. The third page of the printed book would actually be my first story page. And then I'm going to keep in mind double page spreads because that's how the book is going to actually be viewed in print. And it can even be viewed that way digitally depending on how you set up your digital files. So here I have 5 pages of the book. 5 pages of the story. And then I would take a look at my script. Based on the script and what the writer has for panel count, I would work through my story beats right here to work out my entire issue and find out if the story works visually, what issues I may have, and how to solve those issues. Then I can take my ideas here and then transfer them to the actual printed page. So now the question is how to get the thumbnails that I've done here to the printed page. In my case, these are just ideas. I don't like to draw things multiple times, so I'm not going to transfer this via Lightbox or print it out and blow it up and put it on a page. I'm just using this as an idea. So I will take this idea, have it in front of me, and as I start drawing, I will then make modifications. As you can see in the final printed book, it's very similar. Spaceship, as you can see, the GR8 is actually flipped in the final book. Panel 3 is very similar. Panel 4, if you can even see it, has a different angle of the characters, and panel 5 is almost exactly the same. Hey, thanks everybody for watching this art video. If you like these kind of videos, unrehearsed, down to earth, how to do art on a budget, real life, for people who maybe are not professional artists. Yeah, like this video, subscribe, share, check out my Instagram at David Pentecost if you want to see in progress work, comic book stuff I'm working on, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.